要是你现在跟李小龙是一个岁数，你们俩谁打得过谁？是不是很多人
一个岁数
啊
？Fight commentary breakdowns here, Jerry. You can tell this is such an awkward question for Jackie Chan by his facial expressions and his hesitancy. Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, they're often compared, but also when Bruce Lee was still alive, they were friends. In fact, you could say they were good friends. Jackie Chan knows a lot about Bruce Lee that we might not know as lay people. I want to make it clear, no disrespect meant for anyone that's involved in this interview, and that's why I put on my Renaissance costume. All of us watching, let's try to be Renaissance men about this. Let's analyze, let's get to the bottom of these things. Part of what this channel does, we want to tackle myths and find middle ground to the myths. So let's keep going.
有很多外国人这么问，你就没有像你那么问。如果现在是同一个岁数，
就如果状态一样的话，打起来会怎么样？
让他赢吧。
大哥
宽厚，对。
You can tell that initially Jackie Chan's trying to stall a little, right? He's repeating the question. He's trying to think about a way to answer diplomatically. And then he finally hesitates and just, okay, let's just say Bruce Lee will win. And the other dude that was there, who is obviously someone that knows Jackie Chan, is trying to imply that Jackie Chan's being generous, Jackie Chan's being diplomatic. What we're gonna see after this is that through Jackie Chan's descriptions and subsequent elaboration, you know what he really thinks, but he's never going to say it directly. It's a very Chinese cultural thing. The only time people are really blunt is if they show a lot of disrespect or they're your parents. It's one of those two. Like, parents might be really blunt with you in Chinese culture, and if someone really disrespects you, they might be really blunt, especially about negative things. But beyond that, especially since there's a history of friendship between Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee, in a public setting especially, he's going to be very, very careful about what he says about Bruce Lee directly.
我比他高。
你哪方面武功比他高？
没有，我第一人比他高。
你身高比李小龙高啊？
我跟他拍过戏。
那李小龙很矮的。
我比他高。
So for those of you who've never seen Jackie Chan in Enter the Dragon, I'm going to show you this scene right here. It's quite funny once you recognize that it's Jackie Chan. A lot of us forget how long Jackie Chan's been in this world. When I was a kid, Jackie Chan already had an autobiography out, and my mom, to encourage me to practice my Chinese, borrowed the book from the library and said, hey Jerry, you're doing Kung Fu right now, read Jackie Chan's autobiography. I didn't finish it, but I have some stories from it that probably some of you guys will never hear unless you read his autobiography in Chinese. But one of the things that Jackie Chan does talk a lot about in his autobiography is his friendship with Bruce Lee. When Jackie Chan got famous in the West, he was already famous in China for like 20 years at least. We just forget that because to us, Jackie Chan was probably famous in the 80s, 90s, probably 90s and onwards. Jackie Chan was famous in China and Hong Kong and most of Asia in the 70s already. China for about 100 years was just falling behind in everything, including nutrition and technology, etc. So Chinese people until the 90s were not the tallest. So height is something that Chinese people care a lot about. In Jackie Chan's autobiography, he talks about Bruce Lee's height, basically how short Bruce Lee actually was in person. Story I remember reading about in the autobiography, the week before Bruce Lee passed away, Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee went bowling. Bruce Lee, to seem taller, he always wore shoes that had inches on it. So he had lifts, basically. I believe they're called lifts. Don't remember what the details were, whether Bruce Lee was carrying around his shoes with inches on them or he left them in the bowling, but Jackie Chan just mentioned that. And at that point in my journey in Kung Fu, I wasn't too familiar with Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee was way before my time. One of the first things I learned about Bruce Lee through reading this Jackie Chan autobiography was that Bruce Lee was really short. Again, no disrespect meant for Bruce Lee. Okay, Bruce Lee was an awesome martial artist, but the reality was, so Jackie Chan's about my height, so Bruce Lee is probably only about here. And we all know in a fight, reach matters. And that's what Jackie Chan's trying to say. He's going to expand on this by not just talking about height, but size in general.
我比他快，但是他肌肉比较熟。我给你看看我以前的肌肉不赖的。
Again, we have to use the paradigm. Jackie Chan was friends with Bruce Lee, has a lot of respect for him, but he's also trying to tell the truth subtly and respectfully. So first he mentions height, now he's mentioning muscles and size. Basically, he's way bigger and in a way stronger than Bruce Lee. Now there's a Chinese word I'm going to give you guys. It's called 台阶. I don't know how to directly explain that word, but it's basically you got to give people a platform to slowly step off on, if that makes sense. I'm being figurative. If someone's in the center of attention, aka they have a platform that everyone's looking at them, you got to give them some steps to step off on if you're going to start trying to tear them down. We'll use the word give in Chinese, 给. 他在给李小龙台阶下. That's basically the Chinese expression.
骨细骨粗。
哦，你的骨头粗。
我的骨头粗。
哦，因为你看，我上次看一个李小龙的纪录片，就讲啊，我都不可思议，说他那个时候的拍片环境啊，甚至那些群众演员找这武师啊，说随时都要跟他挑战。他说有个外国导演回忆说，我跟李小龙要说戏呢，说李小龙跟他说，你等一会儿啊，噼里啪啦把这个武师打趴下，在底下踹几脚，再回来跟他说话。
现在已经把李小龙都神化了，
是吗？
我们以前跟他拍过电影，
你觉得他是怎么样？
很好，非常好的一个人，但是呢，是给旁边的人给捧坏了，就是他一来哇。
So now Jackie Chan's talking about the bone size. It does vary. Some people's bones are thin, some people's bones are thick. The two people that come to mind are Shaq and Andre the Giant. Both of those people, their bones are really thick, man, thicker than the average person. So what Jackie Chan's saying is my bones twice as thick as Bruce Lee's bone structure. Jackie Chan is echoing what I think a lot of us deep down at heart realized. Obviously, Bruce Lee was amazing. He did amazing contributions for both the film world, the action world, and the martial arts world. But he definitely has been put too high on a pedestal in some ways, okay? I think some of the stuff is deserved. All the rumors of him getting challenged and beating up people, we hear lots of people corroborate that with their stories, but people weren't in the habit of taking out their phones and documenting things back then because nobody had cell phones. I hope some of you who work in the film industry could go through the vaults and see if any of the extra film canisters had some of these challenge matches, because again, even the interviewer said apparently a lot of extras challenged him, right? So why didn't they film some of that stuff if the cameras were rolling already? If you've watched so far, I hope your lesson is not that, oh, Bruce Lee's fake, Bruce Lee's whatever. It's that we have to look at people objectively. No matter how skilled Bruce Lee is, you put him against Brock Lesnar or something, he's getting choke slammed. Even for someone like Jackie Chan that, let's say, would have 40 pounds and maybe 5 inches on Bruce Lee. Jackie Chan's trying to subtly tell you guys, even a guy like me, probably I'm going to have a good fight against Bruce, and probably Bruce can't stand a chance against me. Especially, guys, Jackie Chan is so athletic. And that doesn't mean that Bruce Lee's sidekick, Bruce Lee's certain strikes were way more powerful than even a fighter that was his size. I genuinely believe if you asked Bruce Lee in that era if he could beat someone like George Foreman, or if Bruce Lee didn't pass away so early, Bruce Lee probably would have been seeking lessons from Tyson or seeking lessons from Hickson Gracie or someone like that. So since I mentioned to you guys, I have read part of Jackie Chan's autobiography, this is another thing to explain to you guys. When I said in previous videos that Jackie Chan was a little bit of a wild character in his younger days, Jackie Chan talks a lot about his days training to become an operatic theater action person. And at the time, Jackie, Sammo, and Yuan were like the gang of three. They went around, they had each other's backs, but they also caused a lot of trouble. There were 2 stories that came to mind. The first story I remember so vividly because I had something similar because I was pretty wild as a kid. So Jackie's story, Hong Kong at the time, right? Lots of triads, lots of just weird activities. And one time Sammo and Yuan and Jackie were hanging out, and there was a motorcycle gang that sort of blocked their way, and they were kind of acting tough around Jackie and Sammo and Yuan, and they're like, what are you looking at? And so Jackie, Sammo, and Yuan, they looked at each other, they're like, let's get them. They ran up to them, sucker punched them, and then just ran. Not Jackie Chan's proudest moment, but the reason he tells the story is that they ran for miles, man. They're like, oh my God, we got to get away from these guys. And after about 2 or 3 miles, Jackie Chan was hearing squishing sounds in his shoe. And so he's like, is it raining? Why am I running through water? And then they finally stopped. They're like, okay, let's figure out what's going on. And Jackie Chan looks down and there's blood all over his shoe, all over his pants. So what happened? After Jackie Chan hit the guy reflexively was probably reaching in for a knife. So he got hit and he just went like this. So Jackie Chan was turning around running. Adrenaline was kicking in, right? He didn't feel himself get sliced by a knife. So somewhere where he couldn't see, he got slashed by a knife. And so adrenaline carried him for like a mile. And well, the whole time he was bleeding. When I was in China, I heard a story from a family friend. Apparently one time like had an argument or something. And then he noticed, why is there a lot of wetness behind me? And then someone took a look and it turned out someone had taken a knife and given him one and it went through his glutes. And I guess it cut the nerve or something because he didn't feel it. So he went to the hospital. When I heard Jackie Chan's story, I thought about that story. But then I also had a story like I promised to tell you guys. This was my Chicago days. I was just not a very happy kid always. And I was messing with this kid, not my proudest moment. But one time after messing with him for way too many times, for some reason he went back into the classroom way earlier than all the other kids after recess. And I followed him just to see what he was doing. He comes up to me and he shows me something. And at first I thought it was a pen, but then it wasn't a pen. It was one of those like wood cutting knives. I don't know what the technical term was. At first I thought it was fake. I thought he was just trying to like show off a toy. So I look at it and I walk back and my friend who was also messing with him, I tell my friend because he was following me. I'm like, dude, I think this guy has a knife. My friend doesn't believe me. So my friend walks with me into the classroom. Now it's just me, my friend, and then the kid I was messing with. And the kid shows his thing again, and my friend's like, oh, that is definitely a knife. And before he even said that, he just starts running. And at that point I realized, okay, that's not a toy. And I start running with my friend. And you wonder what happened. Basically, as we start running, everyone hears, and then the teacher comes and everything's resolved, takes away his knife and finds out that, oh, we were messing with him, so we get in trouble and stuff like that. I tell these stories because intellectually I'm definitely a lot like Jet Li. And that's why I was Jet Li's biggest fan for a long time in my life. But I think about how I lived my life, and I think about Jackie Chan's autobiography. And personality-wise, I'm definitely a lot more like Jackie Chan, especially in my younger days before I said, I'm going to study, I'm going to be a smart person. Right before that, I was a pretty wild kid. There was another story in Jackie Chan's autobiography that stuck to me, and it was about how in a bar fight, it was either him or Yuan got a bottle smashed over, and so there's a scar. I believe it was Jackie. At that point in my life as a kid, I didn't go to bars, right? And I've never had bottles smashed over my head. I'm telling you guys all this also to kind of follow up on that discussion. Who's more formidable, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, or Bruce Lee? Knowing Bruce Lee's philosophy, knowing Bruce Lee, how he trained the most diverse sets of martial arts, I think an average person would say Bruce Lee. But then you think about actual fighting. Jackie Chan's been in the most number of wild fights, right? Not sanctioned, but like he, in his younger days, got into the most fights. Precision of movement and acrobaticness, it's Jet Li. Maybe in a previous video I said Bruce Lee's definitely the most formidable, and then it's Jackie Chan, and then it's Jet Li. But now we think about this, it might not be as simple. Probably, if you ask Jackie Chan's friends, Jackie Chan might be able to outclass Bruce Lee. What do you guys think on that? Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, who's most formidable? This has been a debate since I was a kid. As a kid, I was always on Jet Li's side. I would have arguments with people in my neighborhood all the time. I had these two neighbors. They would say, oh, it's Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, and Jet Li. And I'm like, no, it's Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee. That's what I think back then. Some of you might actually say, and I might agree with you, it's Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Jet Li. What do you guys think, guys? So we have a lot more interview translations to come. I hope this video does well. And if this video does well, I'll keep translating Jackie Chan stuff. Of course, I'm going to keep translating Jet Li stuff because you guys asked for it. For those of you who like this stuff, make sure to press a like and don't just comment, but interact with other people. And then consider being a channel member. YouTube tells me that you're a channel member and then tell me what you want to see. I'll be able to see that quicker than, let's say, a non-channel member. Just something to keep in mind. Anyways, guys, this was Fight Commentary Breakdowns. I hope we can all be Renaissance men about martial arts, and we can all be Renaissance men about debates like this, because they can be fun. Remember, it's just martial arts at the end of the day, right? Study other stuff too. Build other skills too. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye-bye.